I remember along with probably most people, was saying at the beginning, oh, by the 4th of July, somebody had to think how the the economy was going to be tanked by then. And I was kind of like, well, that seems right to me, but that didn't happen. Now, it could happen tomorrow. I'm just saying that's reality. So let's work first from the reality of that, not from I just hate Donald Trump. Because that's boring and doesn't get us anywhere and leads you to dishonesty. Because the truth is, I don't know what his strategy is. But look, the stock market is at record highs. I know not everybody lives by the stock market, but I also drive around. I don't see a country in a depression at all. I see people out there just living their lives. And I would have thought, and I got to own it, that these tariffs were going to fucking sink this economy by this time, and they didn't. So, how do we deal with that fact? Because that's the fact.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. Happy Monday. Thank you all for being with us. We don't often promote Bill Maher on this show. In fact, I don't think we've ever promoted Bill Maher. But when a Democrat says something kind of intelligent, I guess we have to give them credit. It seemed like the logical thing for us to do when I saw that clip earlier this morning. Bill Maher, of course, one of the biggest Marxist leftists who hate this country, who rooted against this country, rooted against everything Donald Trump did before the election, after the election, going all the way back to 2016. I guess giving credit where it's due, as I guess you should. Marxist Dems often have a hard time doing that and being the bigger person, admitting when they're wrong. But Bill Maher coming out admitting that the stock market's not crashing. In fact, it's record high after record high. The economy is not tanking, regardless of what you hear on CNN or MSNBC. You often hear me talk about egg prices because that's all the Democrats wanted to talk about just a few months ago. When Joe Biden left office in January and killed 1 million chickens, which happened to drive the price of eggs through the roof. You all remember that. And the Democrats, all they wanted to do was talk about it. And then there was a brief spike in fuel prices where they stayed a little bit high. And of course, they're down now, and the Democrats don't want to talk about that. Forget about the stock market. We won't even get to that because record high after record high after record high after record high, they're running out of things to talk about. The Russia collusion hoax, which we're going to talk about in just a few moments. We're going to get into great detail with our guest today. The Democrats are at just a big loss, which is why I guess they've been running with the whole Epstein narrative that Donald Trump is somehow implicated with Jeffrey Epstein. To that, I'll say, yes, Donald Trump is probably on some sort of Epstein list. He knew the man as everyone knew him. As soon as Donald Trump found out who Jeffrey Epstein was, he cut him off from his life, as most normal people did. Now, Donald Trump never went to Epstein Island. He did. It's confirmed that he was on Jeffrey Epstein's plane with his wife and daughter from New York to Palm Beach, I think, there and back. So if that's the extent that Donald Trump's on the list, have at it, Democrats. But you guys are going to be sadly awoken once that full list does come out and we find out that there are a few Democrats on the list, including Bill Clinton. At least that's what we've been told. But going back to the economy, since that's been the hot topic of late, Donald Trump, fresh off a trip from Europe, where he secured a massive deal between America and the European Union, where the U.S. will still tax the European Union 15% on any of their goods. Now, in return, they've offered America a 0% tariff on goods going into their country. Seems like a pretty good deal to me. Now, in addition to that, they've agreed to buy hundreds of billions of dollars worth of military gear. They're going to make a $600 billion investment in U.S. investments throughout America. And they also decided they're going to buy $750 billion worth the energy from America. So that's $750 billion that won't be spent with Russia or Iran. Seems like a win-win for me. But the Marxist Democrats won't talk about that. They're still caught up on Jeffrey Epstein. Now, don't mince my words. We're still going to talk about it here until we get justice for those people and those victims. But the Democrats are running out of ideas and things to talk about. I've been out of the country for 2 weeks, so I haven't had the time to watch CNN or MSNBC. But the first thing I do when I get back to America, lo and behold, will be to turn on my television and see what they're talking about, because I cannot imagine they have anything to talk about. I haven't even looked at the ratings. The other thing the Democrats may have been running from over the past few weeks is the Russiagate documents. Now, they can run and they can run and they can run some more. They could even attempt to hide, but they're not going to be able to hide from the document releases that are going to continue to come. Director Ratcliffe was on with Maria Bartiromo yesterday morning, had this to say about the documents that will be coming out, and those documents that were dropped last week, just a little tease.
Referrals to the DOJ.
Well, Maria, so part of what came out last week was about how John Brennan, Clapper, Comey, they all pushed the known fake Steele dossier into intelligence community assessments and as the basis for Crossfire Hurricane and all that. But what hasn't come out yet, and what's going to come out, is the underlying intelligence that I have spent the last few months making recommendations about final declassification and sent that to the Department of Justice that will come out in the John Durham report classified annex. And what that intelligence shows, Maria, is that part of this was a Hillary Clinton plan, but part of it was an FBI plan to be an accelerant to that fake Steele dossier, to those fake Russia collusion claims, by pouring oil on the fire, by amplifying the lie and burying the truth of what Hillary Clinton was up to. And you're right, Maria. John Brennan testified to John Durham in August of 2020. He also testified to the House Oversight Committee in 2022. Hillary Clinton testified before John Durham under oath in 2022. James Comey testified before the Senate committee in September 2020. All of that's within the last 5 years. And much of that testimony is, frankly, completely inconsistent with what our underlying intelligence that is about to be declassified in the Durham Annex, what that reflects. And so, Pam Bondi does have a strike force. It is a different Department of Justice, a different FBI, and an opportunity to look at how these people really did conspire to run a hoax, a fraud on the American people and against Donald Trump's presidency. And so coming forward, we understand that they did this, but now we need to understand how they did this. And I think that's why you see the left losing their minds over this, Maria, saying, why are you spending time? This is vindictive. You're going back. This is Donald Trump, seeking retribution. It's not. Donald Trump's election by the American people was a statement, Maria. They said to everyone, we know what you did to Donald Trump, and we reelected him because we know this was all fake. We know it was a hoax. Now we want to understand how you did it so that it can't happen again. And that's what this declassification process that we're undergoing right now, what's going on, why it's so important, and why there can be accountability and preventability to prevent these same people that did it in 2016 with the Steele dossier, with the Hunter Biden laptop in 2020, from doing it again in the future.
So what I think I hear you saying is there is still an opportunity for...
So retribution would have to be an act of taking revenge on somebody, but the revenge, there is none there. This is Donald Trump investigating people who sought to overthrow a country, which in most cases, in most countries you do that, you'd probably get yourself killed, staging a coup against a country. At least here in America, you walk free and you get a high-paying job on some low-rated cable network. That's just how it is. So there's no retribution here. But Ratcliffe said something a little bit more interesting in that interview, which we're going to play for you right now, and that the statute of limitations did not run out on any of these people. Take a listen.
So what I think I hear you saying is there is still an opportunity for indictments, potential prosecutions, accountability from those people who may have lied under oath, like John Brennan, James Comey, and perhaps Hillary Clinton.
Well, that's why I've made the referrals that I have. DNI Gabbard has made referrals, and why we're going to continue to share the intelligence that would support the ability of our Department of Justice to make fair and just bring fair and just claims against those who have perpetrated this hoax against the American people and this stain on our country.
Director, one other question on this. Tulsi, as well as President Trump,
Stain on this country, stain on America, and the stain on democracy. We applaud Ratcliffe and hope he gets to the bottom of this, because justice needs to be had for these people who sought to overthrow a sitting president, a leading frontrunner, a candidate for the United States president. We cannot allow these people to continue to get away with this, and we cannot allow it to ever happen again in the greatest country in the world. It just doesn't work like that, and it doesn't set a good precedent for everyone around the world who's watching us right now, like Venezuela thinking they can lock up their political opponent, like Brazil thinking they can lock up their political opponent, and Colombia and every other country that thinks they're going to be dictators and stifle off elections, free and fair elections, when they're needed to be had. Now, of course, they're going to think they're going to get away with it, because if America can do it, everyone can do it, right? Not the way it works. That's why we need not retribution. We need justice from a Department of Justice who's been sort of on a vacation for the last 10 years. We're going to take a quick break here, folks. When we return, we're going to be joined by my good friend, Stephen Gardner, the host of the Stephen Gardner Show. Take up all these issues and so much more. Stay with us. We're coming right back.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets.
I'm interrupting this commercial to do something I've never done before. Get 2 MyPillows absolutely free on orders of $100 or more. I can't do this forever, so get on board with this great sale today. Our best-selling 6-piece bath towel sets or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Our famous standard MyPillows only $14.98. Queens $18.98. King size only $1 more. Body pillows $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase $9.98. Save $40 on our spring percale Giza Dream bed sheet sets. Any size, any color. So go to MyPillow.com or call that number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And when you spend $100 or more, get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Stephen, as always, it's a delight to have you with us on the Great America Show. I want to start with first, we haven't spoken in some time, Russia collusion. It turns out Russia collusion wasn't just a hoax. Well, it was a hoax for the Marxist Dems who blamed Donald Trump. You know, we can't relive the story every single time. But it turns out the Russia collusion was on the side of the Marxist Dems for the last 10 years and not exactly on the side of Donald Trump as they told us it was.
Yeah, I was reading just this morning that it looks like they are going to try to pull in the very top people connected to Obama, including Barack Obama. Now, from what I'm reading, they don't believe they're going to get Obama, but that doesn't mean they're not going to put him through the hell of lawsuits, discovery, shaming him, embarrassing him. This is a guy that needs to have his reputation brought out into the light and shown that he tried to circumvent or go around the American voter, number one, but also our favorite president, Donald Trump. And now you've got the former director of national intelligence, now head of the CIA, John Ratcliffe. He was on Fox News saying, we're not at all worried about the time frame on this because the John Durham report came out just a couple years ago. In fact, we're going to declassify the stuff that he wasn't allowed to talk about. We're making it all public, which means we can pull in Hillary Clinton, Obama, Brennan, Comey, all of them. We're going to put them through the ringer. I'm excited to see all of it.
Yeah, I want to hear from John Durham again, too, because, you know, we got that report from him. And to me, it was a total bunch of BS. We got no indictments out of it. We learned, absolutely nothing, but we know everything that's come out now, Stephen, people have known for years. You and I have known on the surface of what it is, but the people around Trump and the people in the DNI office and in the three-letter agencies knew all of this years ago, which makes me believe that John Ratcliffe, that John Durham, and the rest of the folks knew what was going on then. We're now sitting here 10 years later, and we're finally getting to the bottom of it. It just doesn't add up to me. What do you think?
Well, the very report that they're now using to link all the top people and pull the thread back to Obama, that was a report that was buried in a safe within a safe at CIA headquarters. So they're just now discovering that. It did come out in 2020, but they immediately hid it. Biden's team purposely covered all of that up. So they're finding things in locked rooms. They're finding things in safes, but they're also using AI technology to comb through all of the data. And that's how they're putting all of this together. But I, for one, would love to see Hillary Clinton in handcuffs. I would love to see Obama brought in. I don't believe they're going to get Obama, but if you can destroy his reputation, just like they're going to do to Joe Biden, I'm here for it.
What's his name? David Schoen, I believe, was Epstein's former attorney. He represented President Trump for his impeachment. He came out and said the other day that if Obama's to be impeached, that whole immunity deal from the Supreme Court, which Donald Trump got, that a president is immune from prosecution for mostly everything, I guess you can say. But that immunity deal goes out the window if he's impeached on these grounds. I want to see some heads roll. I'm just so tired of so many people skating by, and we'll peg it on a little low-level staffer who nobody knows or cares about. We'll make it look like it's a massive indictment, and at the end of the day, it's just a slap on the wrist when everyone forgets and is not paying attention. They go through their court proceeding, and it's a slap on the wrist. Do you think we'll actually get some justice out of this? Because the thing is, Stephen, is this wasn't done by low-level people. We know this was done by Barack Hussein. We know this was done by Hillary Rotten Clinton. We know this was done by the top of the top of the top. I think the American people aren't going to tolerate some little low-level staffer going down for this.
I think the highest we might get would be James Comey and John Brennan.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah, former head of the FBI, corrupt. Former head of the CIA, corrupt. I don't know that you're going to get Hillary Clinton. And some of this comes down to money. Yeah. James Comey, Brennan, they went on to make really good money after leaving the government, but they don't have the kind of money to defend themselves. I mean, the Trump family spent $500 million in legal fees. So you might have Obama and Hillary. They might be able to be protected as former Secretary of State, former president, but they're going to drain them financially, I believe.
You know what? At a worst, like I said, I'm optimistic on everything that's happening, but I can only be pessimistic when it comes to indictments, just based on not me knowing anything, not me being Pollyannic, but just based on what we've seen in the past. And people are going to say, "Oh, stop being so negative." It's hard to not be negative when we've watched everything that's gone on the last 10 years, and we have nothing to show for accountability-wise. These people who tried to overthrow not just a sitting president, not a presidential frontrunner, but I mean, a decent man who's done nothing but good for this country. That's what keeps me up at night, if there was anything that kept me up at night.
Yeah, I mean, the media is just so unfair when it comes to Donald Trump. Yeah. Joe Biden spent over 40% of his presidency on vacation. Now we know they were just hiding his mental decline. But, Donald Trump goes golfing for a couple hours with his grandchildren in Scotland. And they're like, who's running the country? Who's protecting America? Talk about keep America great. You're not even working for us. Meanwhile, he's closing a $1 trillion European Union deal, the biggest deal in world history. And the guy can't take a break to golf with his grandkids. Give me a break.
So let's turn to that. Under these terms, this EU deal that President Trump just did with the EU leader Ursula von der Leyen, they've agreed to buy $750 billion worth the energy from the United States. Additionally, the European Union will make $600 billion in investments in the U.S. and will purchase hundreds of billions of dollars worth of military equipment. European goods coming into the United States will have a 15% tariff. The EU, guess what it is, Stephen? Take a guess.
Zero.
So, it's not the 50, 60, 70% that President Trump originally had on them. But you know what? That balance of 15-0 in our favor is probably the greatest tariff win this country has seen between America and the European Union in the history of the country.
Yeah, it is a fantastic deal. The European Union has been taking advantage of the United States for many years. As I've covered the news for the last 5+ years, I've noticed, wait a minute, we do a lot for them. They're not doing very much for us. I mean, right now, we've spent over $200 billion of hard-earned American taxpayer money for a war in Ukraine we didn't start. We literally get nothing from. It didn't trigger the NATO clause to defend them. So we've done a lot, and yet you find out that Zelensky's been stealing money. His top people are stealing money. Over 50% of the weapons aren't even making it there. Now they're being sold on the black market. So I think that this is a fantastic deal. It also didn't hurt that, Joe Biden blew up the Nord Stream pipeline and then tried to blame it on Putin as if he would blow up his own billion-dollar pipeline. Yeah. So, yeah, Europe is in trouble. They need the United States. If we can at least make money off of them, this is what George Washington told us to do. As he's the president of the United States, he said, stay out of their wars and only trade with them. Donald Trump is trying to get back to George Washington's counsel.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yet, as you said it exactly right. Okay, he goes out and plays a round of golf. The man doesn't really go on vacation. Barack Hussein, even when he was president, he'd go down to Hawaii, he'd go here, he'd go there. They give Donald Trump a hard time about going to play golf at his Washington, D.C. golf course. So, you know what? It is what it is. I don't care if he vacations 300 days a year, if he's got this economy, if he's got America going the way it was. You wouldn't hear anybody talking about Joe Biden's vacation to Rehoboth Beach if he was doing a good job. Hell, Joe Biden might even still be president if he was doing a good job. I'm being a little bit facetious, but the American people had a referendum. There was a referendum in America on behalf of the American people in November of last year because of how bad the Democrats did. Things are going smooth right now, but there have been some hiccups in between. You've had the Elon Musk blow up, which things seem to be leveling out a little bit now. Maybe him and Donald Trump are going to reconcile. I'm not sure, but there's a possibility. Recently, we had the Epstein blow up, which now looks like we're going to maybe get something out of it. Are you as optimistic as most are?
Well, my understanding is that Roger Stone secretly met with President Trump over the last week in the White House every single day, going over all of the aspects of the Jeffrey Epstein. Now, the main holdup there is you've got names, but they are buried in a sealed grand jury from the Southern District of New York. So I don't know that we're going to get that. I also don't know what's in there. They just had Ghislaine Maxwell testify for multiple hours over a 2-day period. They said that she laid out all of the details, the backstory, the context, people involved, over 100 names. I've let my audience know. That doesn't mean it's 100 elite pedophile. Like, we don't know who those names are. They could be talking about the waiter at his favorite restaurant, and they go talk to that person. So I believe that Donald Trump is trying to get to the bottom of this. I think the problem with Epstein is no matter what the truth is, it's not going to make everybody happy, because this is a very deep rabbit hole. And because it's so dark, the violation of young people, trafficking, tricking, manipulation, I just don't know that anyone's ever going to be happy. But I do see Donald J. Trump doing his best to get all of the information out there, despite the fact that they're dragging his name through the mud every single day.
Yeah, he's used to it by now, though. I don't think he really cares about saving name or saving face, because no matter what he does, the guy can walk on water, and they'd say he's wearing inflatable shoes. These people don't. It doesn't matter what he does. At the end, the
left is so disgusting. They're now trying to connect Melania Trump to trafficking, saying, well, if Ghislaine Maxwell was the head trafficker for Epstein, maybe Melania from a former Russian country, maybe she's the trafficker for his sick. I mean, I'm telling you, this is a deep, dark rabbit hole that I don't know will ever get all the light down there to clean this thing out. But I don't believe that Trump was involved in this sick stuff. And, Roger, he just posted that someone found out that he was in D.C. helping Donald Trump. What did they do? Instead of thanking him, they literally poisoned his dogs. I mean, there's just some sickos out there.
Roger's a great man. By the way, he'll be on the show with me here tomorrow. Roger's been going through his own issues. I talk to Roger almost every single day. We text back and forth. His own issues at home. The last thing he needs, dealing with his wife's health, the last thing he needs is someone trying to kill his dogs. I mean, people are just absolutely sick and perverse. Going back to Melania, I think it boils down to that people are just jealous of her. She's absolutely drop dead gorgeous. She's by far the classiest first lady this country has ever seen. She's extremely respectable. She's extremely admirable. When you look at the last two first ladies we had a lady who's pretending to be a doctor, and Dr. Jill Biden, who I think had a PhD in humanities or something like that. And then you had Michelle Obama, who, it depends if you listen to Alex Jones or some other people have their theories about Michelle Obama and her relationship with Barack. So, you know what? Nobody who's married, I'm not married, Stephen, you're married, so you could probably test this better. They go after Donald Trump and his relationship with his wife. I don't really know too many people who have been married for 20, 30 years, whatever, 40 years, who are as happy as they were the first day they were married. I think it's just how things work. Now, I'll take to exception. Lou Dobbs and his wife were probably just as happy as the first day they were married to the day he died. But he's probably the only person I can attest to, Stephen, including my own parents, who are just as happy as the day they got married. So I think it boils down to jealousy with her.
Yeah. Well, I just want to clarify, because my wife will be watching this. I've been married 20 years, and I am happier, much happier than when I got married, and she knows that I'm telling the truth. So you got two people on you.
Yeah, it's crazy. But everything now, so it seems we've gotten past this. I think we'll get some stuff out of the Epstein documents. Like you said, I don't think we're going to get proof and evidence that Bill Clinton was on that island, even though we all know he was. I don't think we're going to get evidence that Prince... I forget
Andrew.
which one it is. Andrew. I don't want to say the wrong one and defame somebody. I mean, even though by every single account, everyone says the man has been there, I don't think we'll get evidence that he did X, Y, and Z with X, Y, and Z. So, I don't know. I think you're absolutely right as it pertains to the American people being sufficient with what we get out of it. But I do hope that we get something out of it, because this is what I keep saying, and I sound like a broken record. There's no way the FBI raided this man's apartments and houses, took terabytes worth of data, and all they found is child pornography downloaded from websites and just Ghislaine Maxwell in jail and this man dead. It just doesn't pass the smell test for me. That's all I say about it.
Let me ask you this. Do you think part of the reason that Joe Biden ordered the raid on Donald Trump's home, where they went through Barron's room, Melania's underwear drawer, everywhere, they set up these fake photos to embarrass him as if he was just so sloppy with don't you think that they were maybe looking for documents related to the Russiagate story? Why else would they be specifically looking for documents? They knew that this was coming down the pipe, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. I think they wanted to see where he was at on it. But then it takes you to the question that I keep asking myself. If he had these documents and he knew what was going on back then, John Ratcliffe was his DNI. Why did he not have this out? And I've asked multiple people about this, and they're like, well, the documents were hidden. Well, then I asked you, why were the documents existent? And I'm being good cop, bad cop here, right? Yeah. Why did the documents exist in the first place? If I'm a gangster and I'm a mobster, Steve, and I'm going to whack somebody, I'm not writing a letter to, hey, so-and-so, I'll meet you here at 5 o'clock. We're going to take his head off. No, you're not doing that. So that's the other aspect of it that I don't really understand is, why were you documenting all this illegal, treasonous stuff that you were doing?
Yeah, well, one thought that I have is, John Brennan and James Comey, they've shown themselves to kind of be skillless human beings. So they're using a bunch of lower level people. Well, those lower level people are in the report. 20 CIA and FBI people saying, we didn't feel comfortable with this. We felt threatened, like we would lose our job, like maybe our family safety wasn't there. And so we kept quiet, but we can't keep quiet anymore. And, they were under oath to tell the truth about that. That's where that report came from. And then they buried that report. So I do believe that there were people that wanted to come forward. But when there's this giant national narrative, and you're just a lower level CIA, like, who's going to believe you? We've seen whistleblowers get steamrolled. I don't know if you know Tony Schaefer, but he came forward. He literally knew that 9/11 was going to happen. They had all of the Al-Qaeda cells on this giant map. And what happened? Clinton and Bush told him, make it go away. but don't go after anybody. So the government is the government's own biggest problem.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
I'm still over in Europe. I'm in Istanbul, Turkey right now. And, traveling all over Europe for the last week and a half, talking with different people. Obviously Europe is very corrupt, as the rest of the world is very corrupt. But you listen to some of these stories over here and in other countries across Europe, and you laugh at them. But then in the back of your mind, Steve, I'm sitting there thinking, well, we just about a year ago or 2 years ago raided the leading front runner for president's wife's underwear drawer. We had him perp-walked and mug-shotted for a RICO conspiracy case, which was used once again for mobsters in Georgia. We then had him sit in trial in New York for taking out money and mortgages and paying them off on time, ahead of schedule, with the interest payment. We then had him in court for making a ransom payment to a porn star. We then had him in court in New York for a case 40 years ago where he allegedly raped somebody in the changing room of Bergdorf Goodman. So I'm sitting here listening to these people's stories, and I'm like, the worst stuff that you guys have in your country is you get pulled over and you give the cop $20 and you go on your very merry way. America is the greatest country in the world. There's no disputing that. But when you think of everything we've seen go on the last 3 years, you look at yourself and you're like, we are the most corrupt country on the planet Earth.
Yeah, it's we would be the king mafia boss if this was a white collar crime movie. Like the government would be the boss. So yeah, unfortunately, I say this many times on my show. Like, I love America, but I don't trust my government leaders.
No.
I love our country, but I don't want to be going to all of these wars. I support the military, but I don't think most of them want to raid the Middle East or fight for somebody else's homeland. They want to fight for our homeland. That's why they go to war, is because they want their family, their patria, their land of the free to remain free. But we just keep fighting other people's wars. So yeah, we got problems at home. Gratefully, Donald Trump is trying to clean all of those up. But my gosh, every day is an uphill battle for this guy.
Talk about problems at home. Since you mentioned the military, we'll talk about this a little bit. We're overseas fighting wars everywhere. We have bases everywhere here and there. We have a war going on in our country just a few hundred miles south of you, just about 1,000 miles, a little bit more than 1,000 miles south of me. We're back home in New York at our southern border. I would feel a lot better at night knowing that our troops, our brothers, our sisters, our children, our aunts, uncles, fathers, parents, whatever they are, be stationed at our southern border fighting a war against people that I know we can, number one, beat. Be the first war we won in a very long time. I often ask former military guys on the show, when's the last war we won? A lot of them have a hard time answering the question, as it's sort of a gray area the last time I ever go. But we can fight a war right now at our southern border. Put these guys on the border in Mexico. Send them into Mexico. I mean, do whatever you have to do to stop this war, this invasion. And I'm not just talking about the human invasion. I'm talking about the drug invasion that takes over 100,000 people each year from the deaths of fentanyl and overdoses. That's a war that needs to be fought. That's a war that should be fought starting tomorrow.
Yeah, one of the things that I liked about RFK Jr. when he was running, and I hope this message gets back to Trump somehow, or at least in some way, but I don't know that it will. Why do we have 900 military bases around the world? Why are we trying to control the entire population of planet Earth? Why are we getting into everyone's battles? Why is it always American tax money that is covering everybody else? Like when Trump pulled the money and the weapons, suddenly Europe wanted to end the Russia-Ukraine war. Then he turned it back on. They wanted to go to war again, right? Like everyone's willing to go to war as long as American taxpayers pay for it. So I think we call home the troops. We make America strong. We become the dominant economic motor of the entire planet, and we dominate through economics, not through missiles. And I think it would work. That was the RFK Jr. message that resonated with me even more than Maha. But now, you know, I want both of those. But I can see how Trump is trying to clean it up. At the same time, he's like, well, I guess if other nations will pitch into NATO, then we can start doing more weapons to Ukraine. It's like, no, cut off the weapons, cut off the money, cut off the war, and this thing goes away. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not in D.C., so I'm just an armchair quarterback. But sometimes you need somebody with a really common sense, everyday American point of view to go, we don't live like you, so we don't think like you. And I don't know, maybe some more of those people should be brought in to the Oval Office every now and then.
Yeah, it would be nice. The military-industrial complex folks, Tom Cottons of the world, the Lindsey Grahams of the world, who just don't care at what cost the war is. They're just happy to be there. And you look at where they get their money, and I tell the audience all the time, opensecrets.org. If you have any questions about where your senators or members of Congress are getting their money, opensecrets.org will tell you every institution they're getting their money from, where their biggest donations come from, what complexes, what industries it all comes from. You don't have to take my word for it. Go look for yourself. I think you're going to be very surprised. Some of your Republicans, I'm not even talking about Democrats, because those people are so beyond corrupt that what you see on Open Secrets is probably only a small fraction of where they're really getting their money with the straw donors and all that fun stuff they play. But I'm talking about Republicans, because they're bigger war hawks perhaps than anybody. And it's not just any Republicans, it's the rhinos and the establishment folks that nobody calls out, Stephen.
You know who we need to really do a deep dive on Epstein and government corruption? Ricky Gervais. I mean, remember when he hosted the Oscars and he just ripped those people in Hollywood apart? He was like, listen, you guys are so desperate for work that if Al-Qaeda had a casting call, you would be on their couch. Like, we need somebody that has the balls and the humor to go in and just start pointing out all of the stupidity. But yes, you're right. I love Donald Trump, but why are you endorsing Lindsey Graham? He is a piece of crap. He betrays you all of the time. Why is Tom Cotton allowed to try to put in new legislation to shut DNI Tulsi Gabbard down from sharing classified information that proves the Democrats are corrupt? Like, get this information out into the sunlight, please.
Yeah, they don't. It's all a little pay-to-play scheme, and they all partake in it. Let's talk about RFK, because he's a man, one of the few people actually I admire. There's not many people I admire politics-wise, but he's one of the people in the realm of politics that I admire because he doesn't care. He when he came out and endorsed Donald Trump, he risked losing it all, including his wife, his kids, his family, who hate Donald Trump, by the way. Hate's a very strong word, but they hate him. He risked it all. He didn't care, though. He knew he wasn't becoming vice president. He knew he wanted a job somewhere in the health field or whatever, and he got what he wanted. And he's a man who gave up everything to have what he has right now. The job he's doing, I think, is absolutely remarkable. He deserves to be commended immensely. Just some of the things we're seeing. You pick up your bottle of Coca-Cola and you see high fructose corn syrup in it. And it took RFK Jr. to come in and say, this is poison. First of all, everybody knows it. Why is it still in the soda? And you got Coca-Cola. Oh, sorry about that. We'll have it out of there in about 6 months. Well, why is nobody asking why nobody has said anything about it in the first place? And number two, how it got in there from the first place. Like, am I just brain dead? Or, I mean, am I making a valiant point? Because it's like nobody's asking these questions.
Well, businesses are going to do whatever is best for businesses. If you're going to outsource your enjoyment of what you drink or cheap food at McDonald's, they're going to supply you something that can make a buck, and they're not too worried about it. I mean, for heaven's sakes, chicken nuggets used to be over 50% pink slime that had ammonia in it so that people wouldn't get sick. But it turns out you get sick if you eat ammonia. So like somebody had to call these people to the carpet. RFK Jr., he's doing a great job. When he says that he prayed to his God every day for 20 years to be in a position to influence American health, I believe him. And now I don't think he's wasting this opportunity. And you know what really pisses me off is, they approved this new spike COVID vaccine for children, right? I was like, wait a minute. 30 days ago, RFK Jr. removed this, something that they couldn't force onto children. Then I find out they actually, they approved it behind his back. The first time he takes a vacation, what did they do?
Yep.
They release this garbage against the American children. Like, stop poisoning our children. Well, now those people have been fired. RFK Jr. is trying to claw that back. But I mean, as soon as he turns his back, the deep state, corporate capture, big pharma, big food, big poison, big chemical, they're all going to come in. That was a Freudian slip. Big chemical. They're all going to come in and try to push back. The Empire strikes back. If we've learned nothing from the Star Wars series, they always strike back. And he is fighting tooth and nail.
You know, someone, speaking of administration officials, has been kind of quiet lately is Pam Bondi. Now, I don't know if she's at odds with the administration. Like I said, I'm not speaking on any knowledge or any inside knowledge, but she's been kind of quiet in this whole entire situation of everything that's going on. So a person I've been immensely disappointed in, I have to be honest, through this all. But nonetheless, she's been very quiet. As best of my knowledge, she didn't even go meet with Ghislaine Maxwell. It was Todd Blanche, who was the Deputy Attorney General who represented President Trump in his cases in New York, who went to go meet with Ghislaine. I'm wondering now if she's on the outs with President Trump. She's definitely on the outs with MAGA. People are pissed off with her. But I'm wondering if she's on the outs with President Trump.
Well, I think Trump is being very cautious not to fire big names, but I bet you he told her, get off of Fox News. You're on Fox News too much. Put your head down. Let's get some stuff done. From a credibility standpoint, if she's lost credibility, it makes sense that he would not want her to go speak with Ghislaine Maxwell. So who does he send? He sends Todd Blanche, someone who has a really great reputation, very high level, known for his ethics. Trump needs somebody to look at this that America trusts so that whatever the answer is, here's 100 names of Wall Street bros, or literally there's nobody. He was just having these, traffic for his own perverted desires. We need to be able to trust that answer.
Yeah, I think you're right. Before you wrap up, I want to get your take. We just passed the 6 month, just a little bit past the 6 month marker of President Trump in office. How would you grade his performance so far if he's your student in a classroom?
He's doing good. I had a guest that I really respect. I had my MAGA hat on, and this person said to me, "You still think Make America Great is a thing?" I said, "Yeah." What I've learned from covering politics for over 5 years now is there's over 500 people in Congress with 500 different brains, 500 different goals, and you need a really strong leader to try to wrangle these people and point them in the right direction. I feel like Trump is doing a great thing. To expect every part of his agenda to get through, I believe, is a little bit fantasy, but he has gotten so much done. Look at all the tariffs coming in to the point where he's like, maybe we should share some of this with lower income families. They could probably use a break from Biden's inflation. One thing that he's not getting credit for, everybody's so focused on Epstein. Dan Bongino and Kash Patel have taken so many pedophiles off of the street. They just busted this huge network that had over 100,000 members that were buying these sicko pictures of children online. They get no credit because people care more about Epstein. So every department that Trump is involved in, everything is getting better. The one area that I do wish is let's get this Israel-Gaza thing done and let's get this Russia-Ukraine thing done. And I think part of that is cutting off the money.
Yeah, you're 100% right. By the way, this is the first time I know you for, year now, whatever it's been. I finally heard you tell a lie. You said there was 500 people in Washington, D.C. in Congress with a brain. I would boil that down to about 50 to 100, something something like that. I think you just gave 500 people way too much credibility for what they're really working with their sub 100 IQs, I'd say.
You got me there.
Stephen Gardner, the host of the Stephen Gardner Show, wildly popular show. Millions of people tune into Stephen each.
Just crossed 2 million.
Congratulations! You've been waiting for that. Congratulations! An awesome achievement. You do a great job in it. I think the people obviously agree with me. At least a few million of them who tune into your show each and every week. Steve, as always, it's great to talk with you. Where can the audience follow you, find you? Where do you want to send them?
You can find me on YouTube, Stephen Gardner. This ugly mug will come up, and I'll be there to help you understand what's going on in Washington, D.C.
Stephen Gardner, and the YouTube channel is Stephen Gardner 1 on YouTube, Rumble, wherever you guys get your video podcast. You can find Stephen there. Steve, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much, brother.
Thank you.
Thanks to Stephen Gardner, folks, and thank you all for being with us today here on The Great America Show. Hope to see you back here tomorrow for The Great America Show, where the quest for truth, justice, and the American way continues against all odds, against all enemies, and all haters. Same time tomorrow, same place. We'll see you right back here. Until then, may God bless you, may God bless America, and may God bless the great Lou Dobbs. Have a great night, everybody.